Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into a pretty fascinating new game announcement today. It's called Hunger.
Yeah, Hunger. Saw the reveal. Our info's mostly coming from, the gameplay trailer. And Screen Rant did a good piece breaking it down, plus the Steam page details.
Exactly. So there's a bit to work with. And the first thing that jumps out, really, is who's making it. Good Fun Corporation.
Right, which that's the new name for the original developers of Hell Let Loose, Black Matter. So that definitely sets a certain expectation, doesn't it? Thinking about Hell Let Loose's intensity.
It really does. So our mission, let's say, for this deep dive, is to really unpack Hunger, figure out, what it actually is.
Where it fits in the whole extraction shooter scene.
Yeah, and what makes it different or maybe potentially interesting. Basically, we want to give you that shortcut to knowing what's up with this game if you've just heard the name.
Makes sense. So maybe start with the genre itself. Extraction shooter, what does that mean for someone maybe not familiar?
Good call. It's basically a genre where you load into a map, usually PvPvE, so players and AI enemies.
Right, PvE meaning player versus environment.
Exactly. And your goal is to, grab loot, complete some kind of objective maybe, and crucially, get out alive at an extraction point.
Because if you die, you lose your stuff. Pretty much everything you brought in or found, high stakes.
Super high stakes. Think games like Hunt, Showdown with its bounty hunting, or the really hardcore Escape from Tarkov.
Those are the big ones, yeah. And we've seen others pop up too, right? Like Gray Zone Warfare recently, or Marauders with its sci-fi vibe, even Dark and Darker in the fantasy space.
Definitely. So it's a genre people are clearly interested in exploring different takes on.
And Hunger's take is, it's unique. They're calling it an extraction shooter and slasher set in Napoleonic Europe.
Napoleonic Europe. That really caught my eye. It's not a setting you see often in shooters, let alone extraction ones.
Not at all. And the slasher part, too. Suggests melee combat is going to be pretty central, maybe alongside the shooting.
Which could feel very different from, say, Tarkov's focus on gun mechanics. More up close and personal, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. Adds a different layer of tension. And we should mention it's planned for early access sometime in 2025. So still a ways off. Things could change.
Right, early days. But the trailer and the descriptions, they definitely give off a certain vibe. The Screen Rant piece pointed out similarities to Hunt, Showdown thematically.
Oh, absolutely. That horror element seems quite strong. They mention this mysterious bacterium infecting the land and people.
Yeah, that immediately sounds like Hunt's corrupted world, doesn't it? That feeling that the environment itself is hostile, not just the other players. It's got that, dark, almost folk horror feel to it.
For sure. But then, here's where it seems to take a pretty big detour from Hunt or even Tarkov, the RPG elements.
Ah, yes. They're calling it an extraction RPG in some places.
What does that actually mean in this context?
Well, based on the article and the Steam info, it sounds pretty deep. They showed, a hub area with NPCs giving out quests.
Okay, quests. That already sounds more structured than just grab the bounty or find this item. More like a traditional RPG structure almost.
Yeah, it suggests more persistence, maybe. Like you're building something more than just your loadout for the next run.
And the Steam page goes into more detail. It talks about leveling up your character from 1 to 100.
1 to 100, that's a serious progression system, not just picking a few traits like in Hunt.
Exactly. It says progression comes from doing quests, surviving these runs, they call them expeditions, and mastering a skill system that apparently changes based on your choices.
Okay, so you're really investing in a specific character build over the long term. That changes the calculation when you go into an expedition, right?
Yeah.
Risk versus reward feels different if you're leveling a character to 100.
Potentially, yeah. Loss might sting more, but maybe success feels more cumulative. And there's more crafting and gathering professions.
Professions, like actual jobs in the game.
Seems like it. Choose a crafting or gathering skill, make items for yourself, trade them with friends, or, get this, sell them on a player-driven marketplace.
Whoa, okay. A player economy. In an extraction game, that could be huge.
It really could. Imagine needing specific crafted gear or materials and having to trade with other players. It adds a whole social and economic layer that's not typical for the genre. Very different from Hunt's Blood Bonds or Tarkov's Flea Market even.
Definitely something to watch.
Yeah.
And thinking about the developers, good fun. Well, Black Matter previously.
Yeah.
Hell Let Loose is known for being incredibly atmospheric and, frankly, brutal.
Visceral is the word often used, yeah. That gritty, intense combat.
So if they can bring that same level of atmosphere and intensity to this plague-ridden Napoleonic setting, that could be really compelling. combined with the extraction tension.
It sounds like a potent mix, but it's also entering a genre that's getting more crowded, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a fair point. The article mentions Bungie's Marathon is on the horizon.
And Marathon has huge potential mainstream appeal coming from Bungie. It could really blow the genre open.
Right. Tarkov and Hunt are popular for sure, but they still feel somewhat niche compared to, say, Call of Duty or Destiny. Marathon could change that landscape significantly.
So Hunger needs to stand out. What are its hooks, really?
Well, the setting, first off, Napoleonic horror is just
Yeah,
different, memorable.
definitely unique. And then there's that deep RPG progression we talked about.
Yeah, maybe that's the key. It could attract players who like the idea of extraction shooters, but find the pure focus on loot and loss a bit too. Cutthroat. Maybe they want that character building, that sense of long-term achievement.
Could be. It offers a different kind of loot. Plus, you have the developer's track record with Hell Let Loose. People know they can deliver a polished, atmospheric experience. That builds confidence.
True. That's not insignificant when you're asking players to invest time, especially in early access.
So, summarizing, we've got Hunger, extraction shooter slasher, unique Napoleonic horror setting, deep RPG mechanics, level 100, skills, crafting, player economy, coming from the Hell Let Loose devs.
Seems like a really interesting package, positioning itself maybe as a more RPG-focused alternative in the genre, while still promising that core extraction tension.
Definitely one to keep an eye on as it heads towards that 2025 early access.
Okay, so here's something to chew on then. What happens when you properly fuse deep, persistent RPG progression with that really tense, high-stakes, lose-it-all gameplay of extraction shooters?
Does it make it more accessible? Does that persistence draw people in who were maybe scared off by the potential for total loss before?
Or does it dilute the core appeal for the hardcore crowd? Does knowing you're building towards level 100 change how you play, maybe make you less likely to take big risks?
And what kind of stories come out of that blend? Napoleonic horror, character builds, player trading? It feels like a really unusual narrative space.
Loads to think about. Definitely curious to see how Hunger develops. Well, thanks for digging into this one with us.